Florida State just made a big addition to their 2026 class, and it's actually not an addition when you think about it. It's actually a re-addition. Devin Carter was originally committed to Florida State in his sophomore year in high school, but flipped to Auburn, and just the other day flipped back to Florida State. So we're going to take a deeper look at him. He's actually a Florida State legacy. His dad played, Dexter Carter played for Bobby Bowden in the late 80s. I think he's actually a first-round pick. But Devin Carter's who we're watching today, 6'1.5", 175 receiver from Douglas County, Georgia. I actually could not find a highlight tape for his junior year, so I had to make it. And we only have about 6 clips on here. And then after that, we'll just watch the senior year or the sophomore film. And something messed up when I exported this because this play was sped up. But he's not actually that fast. That would be crazy. But everything else should be good. In the meantime, you guys let me know what you think about this kid. Anybody else in Florida State's class or anybody else that's a 2026 athlete. Any football player in the world you want me to watch. Reach out. But like I said, we only have 6 clips here of junior year film. And we're going to be sophomore from here on out. You know, sometimes I just wouldn't even bother with this. If you could tell the kid clearly hit a big growth spurt from sophomore year going to the junior year, and that's why he's a FBS, Power 5 prospect, but he was already committed to Florida State as a sophomore after his sophomore season, so I don't think you'll notice that big of a drop-off. I feel fine. I feel fine about this sophomore year film. Anyways, so I'm a big fan of this kid. I think the one drawback you'll have on him is his frame at 6'1.5". I think the ideal height for a receiver to be is closer to 6'1", 6'2". That being said, I think you're picking up a lot of athleticism by trading off the frame. I think this kid's a hell of an athlete. And obviously every kid that goes FBS, Power 5, is going to be a good athlete. So what do I mean by that he's a good athlete? I think he's extremely explosive. I don't know if it's going to show up on the sophomore film as much, but the few clips we saw in the junior year film, very good release. I actually think he cleaned that up a whole lot. So you'll see him be explosive with the ball in his hand on the sophomore film here when he's not in his receiver stance. But when he is in his receiver stance, you'll see him kind of like hitch on the release a little bit, which, like I said, I think he cleaned that up going into his junior year. I think he's very sudden, very good route runner. Really good long speed also. Just athletically, I don't really know if there's that much to be desired, to be honest. So you got the change of direction, the explosiveness, the good long speed. I think just a very well-rounded receiver. Like I said, he's just not 6'2", and that's it. That's literally the only gripe I have with the game. Very strong hands away from the body. You can tell he's in a football family. Does the football stuff well, that's what I mean by that. as opposed to just being a good athlete. He's both. Ball tracking's very good. You know, that's honestly what I'm surprised by seeing on the sophomore tape is how good this kid is at finding the ball down the field. Finds himself in those situations very often because of how fast he is, how good the long speed is, but not a body catcher as he catches one off the body on that one. But really mad that one clip got sped up the junior year because it was a hell of a catch. Just giving my final 2 cents here. I think a very well-rounded athlete, very well-rounded football player. Really, really hard to poke any holes in the game, to be honest. Like I said, the only thing I guess that you'd have an issue with is 6'1" at one and 175. But I don't even think he's at the frame where you're like, oh, this kid's strictly a slot receiver. I certainly think he has the capability to play on the outside. Maybe another thing is just like the physicality. We just didn't really see that show up on the highlight tape. And that's not necessarily that he can't do it, just nature of the highlights that we watched. He just was faster than everybody. Didn't really have to out physical anybody. But obviously at 6'1", 175, he's going to be a bit behind the 8 ball in that regard. But certainly not an issue I have with this kid. Big fan of him. You guys let me know what you think about him, and thanks for watching.